Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you this double gatefold card that I created using the Unbound Love stamp set. This double gatefold not only has a beautiful panoramic look, but has a belly band that will hold it in place until your recipient receives it. And of course it'll stand for display since it's got this gorgeous scene on it. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. I've got my 6x6 piece of designer series paper and I want to trim off some of the top. So I need 3/4 of an inch off. So I'm going to set this at 5 1/4, set down my trimmer and trim. This is something that you can use for later on, but I don't need that for this project. Then I'm going to start by cutting on the left. The first piece I need is 1 3/4 inches wide. And I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to keep these in order so that it's easier when I assemble. The next piece is 1 1/4, so I'm going to set that on the 1 1/4 inch mark and trim. And then I need another piece that's 1 1/4. And that leaves my final piece at 1 3/4, just like that first piece. I've got all my cutting done. And we'll move on to the card base. I'm going to start cutting my cardstock for the double gatefold. And the first thing I'm going to do is create my belly band. And I want that to be 1 inch wide, so I'm going to place that on the 1 inch mark here on the right of my cutting blade. I'm going to set that down and trim, and I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to take this, which now measures 10 inches, and I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to place it on the 5 1/2 inch mark and cut. This is a waste piece that you can set aside for later, and I've got my 2 pieces here. Next, I'm going to score my card base. So I'm going to open this up again, make sure that I use my score blade, which of course is the lighter of the 2 blades. I'm going to set this on the 2 inch mark and score. Move it to the 3 1/2 inch mark, making sure to butt up against that front line. Score 6 1/2. Score and 8. Score. There you go. I've got my scoring done and we're ready to start assembling. I'm going to do my stamping here. And I'm going to start with the inside panel. I'm going to use the word faith, ink it up with the petunia, and stamp. And then I'm going to take the coordinating sentiment here, ink it up with the misty moonlight, and I'm going to stamp this slightly to the right. There we go. I'm going to do my belly band sentiment next. And I am going to start with the misty moonlight here, and I am going to stamp. And I'm going to be using the heartfelt hexagon for this, so I want to kind of look at that and put things where I want them. And I'm going to stamp the hope next, and I'm ready to punch it out. I'm going to leave a little bit of space on the bottom here for my pearls. At this point, we're ready to assemble. Okay, I've got my card base here, and I'm going to fold towards the card base on that second score line and burnish, and then I'm going to fold back on the first score line and burnish again. And I'm going to do that same process on the other side. First folding in, and then folding out. Oops. There you go. And you've got your double gate like so. Now to decorate this, I'm going to start with the center panel here and adhere that down. If you didn't want to adhere this right away, you could set it just to the side and tuck it inside your card for when you're ready to sign and send. I've got that in place. Whoops, I need to move it over slightly. There we go. And so now I'm going to start adhering my outside panels. So I'm going to flip that over on both sides and add adhesive. Now I made sure I laid these down in the order of which I cut them, but if you didn't do that, you want to go back and make sure you have the seam in the same order so that it will flow when it's opened. I'm going to set this panel over here. And then I'm going to do the two inside panels. I'm going to flip those and add adhesive. Remember, when you're using the liquid adhesive, you want to leave a little bit of room around the outside. I put it in about 1/4 of an inch for that ooze factor when you're pressing down. Kind of like when we were kids using Elmer's glue, it's going to spread. And then I'm going to add the second panel here, like so, and adhere. And I've got this beautiful seam that when you open continues that view. I've got that done, and I'm ready to create the belly band. So I'm going to take the belly band, I'm going to lay it underneath my panel, and I'm simply going to take it and fold it over with my fingers. I don't want it real tight because I want to be able to slip this on and off. And that's why I'm using my fingers to do this. I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive here, being careful not to get it on the inside section, and hold that in place. Once again, remember there is some ooze factor. Tear and tape would work great for this. I've got that finished. I'm going to slip it onto my card simply by lifting it over the top and sliding down. And then I'm going to add my sentiment. And I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive here on either side and down in the center so that I know I'm going to catch where I want it. There we go. I'm going to allow that to dry, and of course you can do that off the project if you're worried about adhering it closed, or a piece of tear and tape would be great. I'm going to bring in the pearl trios. These are iridescent and are simply beautiful, and they're part of our Thoughtful Wishes suite, which this paper comes from also. These pearls come in 3 colors, the Calypso Coral, the Misty Moonlight, and the Petunia Pop. And for this project, I think I'm going to add just 1 pearl right here in the center. So I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm going to pick up one of these beautiful Petunia Pop pearls and set it right here in the center, pulling in that Petunia Pop from the Sentiment Hope. So there you go, a double gatefold card using the Unbounded Love sentiment set. This sentiment set has some beautiful sentiments in it for inspiration and caring of those people that you love. And I love the fact that these sentiments are 2-step, where you have not only a larger sentiment, but also that continuing thought that you can mix and match. And of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop on my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.